Hey guys, welcome back to the Personal Transformation Podcast. My name is Dan Storey. I'm the author of Personal Transformation Blueprint. And in this episode, I want to talk to you about getting uncomfortable and why getting uncomfortable is the first step in any journey towards personal transformation. And if you've read the book, you'll know that I talk a little bit about the kind of statistics around unhappiness and dissatisfaction. 2/3 of people show up to work and are unhappy in their work. They literally go there and they just go through the motions, 25% of which are actively disengaged, meaning they do things that are negative or detrimental to the business when they show up. They don't just dislike work, they actually work hard to make things worse than they possibly could be. You hear the statistics about 50% of relationships or marriages ending in divorce. The statistics about people who are becoming overweight and obese are just growing consistently. And so we constantly seem to be on this downward spiral of things aren't getting better, they're getting worse. And I don't know what it is that's fueling that, but human psychology around this kind of ever increasing desire for comfort and satisfaction and immediate gratification is probably not helping us. And so, we find ourselves in this, I don't like what's going on. Let me do something immediately to make the situation better. Whether that's some form of addiction, like food addiction, or therapy, like, shopping, things like that. You can buy things now before you pay for it, and it can be delivered the same day. It's ridiculous now. We've got this, rapid desire to see things happen. And if they don't, then we just get annoyed. But we all feel this element of dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction on its own can be a gift if you harness it effectively and use it right. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But for most people, they do one of two things. They either let it build up too much so that it becomes resentment. And we all know people who dislike their situation, and then they get very, very aggressive and angry about it. Well, I'm in this situation because of this, and it's not my fault that we do this. And we tend to externalize the cause of these situations. And sometimes things happen to us, absolutely, that put us into a situation. But ultimately, it's our reaction to those situations determine the situation as it unfolds. Or we just compare ourselves to other people and we say it's not so bad. Like, other people have it a lot worse, so I shouldn't feel bad about it in this situation. And we can always do that. We can always compare ourselves to someone else. So if you think about, these people who go to work, they go to work, I don't like my job, and they go home and maybe they talk about it with their parent, the partner or something like that. And they say, oh, I hate my job. Should I be doing this? And I don't know if it's the partner or someone else will say to them, well, you know what, at least you've got a job. Did you hear about Bob? Bob the other day, Bob and Di, those two are really having some financial troubles and the bank's going to take their house. And you're like, holy moly, at least I've got a job. I shouldn't complain about it. Or, you hear about the upcoming recession or something catastrophic about the future. Well, I better keep hold of this because you never know what's going to happen. It's this idea of better the devil you know, right? And don't rock the boat because, it ain't broke, don't fix it. That kind of mentality that I can remember my grandparents saying things like that, because that's how it was back then. It was like, let's just keep it the status quo. And the status quo is such a powerful force, that's what tends to drive everything. And so, you wake up and the things you do today are the same things that you do or did yesterday. Not because you've woken up and actively chosen to do these things, but now it's just the routine that you go through. You wake up, you get dressed, you have the same breakfast, you drink the same coffee, you take the same route to work, you do all of those things on autopilot because that's the way things are. And starting with dissatisfaction causes you to stop and leads you to stop and say, okay, well, let's look at the situation I'm in right now. And status quo says you do it because you did it. But choice says, if I was in this situation today, or had the choice to have this situation today, would I still choose this situation? Do I want this? Would I opt in to this situation instead of it being the default? You see these choice architecture experiments, if you haven't, check them out. But you can raise donor rates by like 95% if you choose the default option as opt in versus opt out. It's amazing what you can do. The default is such a strong thing. So we live our life on default rather than saying, okay, what's the proactive choice that I want to make in this moment? And for many of us, the proactive choice is just to carry on and just do the same thing. We actually don't make a choice. We allow status quo to define our choice. So yes, we may be dissatisfied, but we're not dissatisfied enough to do something, or we're able to compare ourselves and offset this feeling of tension because other people have it a lot worse. And so we need to find a way to harness this dissatisfaction to say, let me look at my life right now, look in the mirror of honesty. And if I look in that mirror for long enough and hard enough, how do I feel about the person I see in the mirror? And that's really tough for many people. Looking in at their life and being honest with themselves, there's a lot of things that we may like, but there's probably going to be a lot of things that we don't like. And actually taking the moment to look at those things and appreciate them for what they are can be kind of painful. That's why a lot of people don't change, right? They're like, oh, I'll get around to it later, I'll get around to it later, but we never get around to it. We never take that time to actually choose to stop and look in the mirror and ask yourself the question. And this is, I put this in the book, is if you are going to give yourself a score of 1 to 10, think of NPS. When you go to a business, they say, hey, how was your experience with us? Scale of 1 to 10. Well, the NPS score is right on 1 to 10, but there's 3 elements. There's 0 to 6, there's 7 and 8, and then there's 9 and 10. And 0 to 6, anyone who scores 6 or below is a detractor. That means they say negative things about you or your business to other people they talk about. So if you had an experience of 5 or 6 out of 10, what are you going to be saying to other people? Oh, it was a bit rubbish. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I didn't like these kind of things. That's going to be the experience that you talk about. So if you score your life 6 or below, that's how you talk about your life. Well, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like these kind of things. Okay, so 6 or below. Yep, that's the detractor. 7 or 8, they call passives, right? Passives. What does that mean? That means they have neither anything good or bad to say about your experience. It's like, okay, well, fine. It was fine. Anything great? No, did what it said. I wasn't expecting much, didn't deliver much, I wasn't disappointed, wasn't excessively happy. British. That's it, right? So 7 or 8, even if you're 8 out of 10, effectively, if you're rating your life as an 8 out of 10, you're saying it's okay, it's not bad, I couldn't complain. There's nothing necessarily good or bad. This is crazy, right? 8 out of 10. If you did 8 out of 10 in a test when you were at school, everybody loved you. Now 8 out of 10 is it's just what it is. 9 or 10. 9 or 10, these are the promoters. If you score the business that you go with, the NPS thing, if you score your life a 9 out of 10, you are a positive advocate for that situation. You have only good things to say about the experience. We all have companies that we work with or we buy from, and we're like, oh, I love this brand so much, I'm always going to do these things. We're a 9 out of 10 for those guys because we're a huge advocate. We are proponents. We want to see them win because the more they win, the more we win because we're associated, right? Imagine having that feeling about your life. Imagine waking up every day and saying, today is a 9 or 10 day, and that being every single day. Yeah, that's the level that we should be playing at. That is what life is about. Life is about experiencing life at its fullest, not going, 5 or 6. Yeah, 5. Some people say 5 or 6. That's great. I'm down at 3. Get out. Like, look at your mirror of life, mirror of honesty, and say, is this the level of life that you want to be playing at? Okay, take a moment, stop, and say, do I proactively choose this life? And if the answer is no, then what do you need to do? You need to change it. And this is what personal transformation is. Personal transformation is saying, I'm dissatisfied now, but I'm going to do something about it. And it's taking that into what psychologists call the internal locus of control, not waiting for other people to come in and change it for you, but to say, if it's to be, it's up to me. What are the things that I can proactively do now that are going to improve my situation? And doing it from a place of holding 2 energies. Like I said, if you get purely dissatisfied, if you're annoyed at your situation and you just allow that to bubble up, that creates a feeling of anger and tension. And that is not a creative energy. That is a very destructive energy. Like I said, people can get really angry and they start lashing out and they blame. And that is the externalization of the locus of control, right? It's all your fault. It's the situation fault. It's the economy's fault. It's, whatever it is, but it's never them. Okay, you know these people. They're very angry. They blame everyone. It's never their fault. Okay, so we have to take an internal locus of control, but we can't allow that energy to burn us up. So we also have to be grateful at the same time for what? Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff to be grateful for. We have to be grateful for the experience that has brought us up to today. The chances are you're in, what we call the trap of average. You've probably had some success. You're probably not destitute. You're probably not completely out. And, yes, some bad things have happened, but you've learned from them, you've grown from them. And yes, you've got pain, but that pain can then serve you for something higher later on. Okay. So it's this feeling of gratitude of having time, energy, health, all of these things that we can then say, okay, well, I'm going to channel this into something proactive. And I remember back in the day, I used to work in the motivational seminar industry, and we'd do these weekend seminars. People would be jumping up and down. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change my life. And on Monday, they would quit their jobs. And this was crazy. And I'd see them 2 months later. They're like, oh, what happened? I quit my job and now I've got no money. It doesn't have to be like that. Yes, in the book, I talk about personal transformation is this big, massive change in your life. But the reality is, if you spend 1 hour a day, just 1 hour a day, doing something that you love and doing that on top of your existing life, that's going to change your experience of life. Imagine this. Imagine if you love to create. Let's say you're a painter or you're a writer, you're some form of artist or something, but you don't do that at the moment. You are going to spend your time, you're going to get home, you're going to be tired, you're going to be bored. How do you spend your evenings? You're just wasting that time away. Nothing good happens. You far too much. You've completed Netflix, for example. Imagine just spending 1 hour a day. How's that going to change your psychology? How's that going to change your belief system? And yeah, maybe you channel it into something later on. Maybe you want your side hustle to become your full-time job, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. If you make these significant changes, 1 hour, then that creeps into 1.5 hours, 2 hours or something. Slowly, you start to fill your time with things that make you come alive. That's going to change your life experience. That's going to change your life experience. So yes, maybe you have a situation which isn't as constructive as you want it to be, but you're also doing all these things. And we know life, our identity is not just our job title or our relationship title. Our life experience is all of these things. And too often we get myopic and we focus on one aspect of life, where if we have multiple aspects of life, multiple elements to our personality, we start to experience more of life. So find a way to challenge yourself. How can you incorporate some of these things that you love, that you've been neglecting? How can you bring them back into your life? And whether you choose to move towards that as a full-time thing or a significant hobby or a challenge or personal transformation or whatever it is, allow more of those things into your life. Okay, then go about fixing all the rest of the stuff. So if you look at your life and you say, okay, well, I'm not satisfied in this area or this area, take control, take ownership. What can you do to improve the situation and make that better? Remember that internal locus of control. Dissatisfaction has so much energy. It really does. If you allow yourself to harness it, if you allow yourself to say, okay, well, I'm annoyed, but I'm not there yet, or I'm dissatisfied about this, but I know if I change things, if I take proactive responsibility for doing this, then I can improve the situation and change my life. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not yet there. And I'm on a path, I'm on a progress, I'm making daily steps to get towards that person. You can still be dissatisfied, but you can be excited at the same time. And this is what you need. This is what you need for change. You need dissatisfaction. You need to look at your life and go, I'm not happy with the way I'm living it. And there is opportunity for me. And holding both of those at the same time without them canceling out and negating your motivation and drive, holding both of those at the same time, where you have negative energy pushing you and positive energy pulling you all in the same direction, that's going to make you a very, very motivated person. So yes, you may be dissatisfied in the moment, but you've got a path, right? So here's my challenge to you today. Feel inside that dissatisfaction. Where are you dissatisfied? Is it in life in general? If it is, what are the 1 or 2 areas that if you tip those over the edge is going to make a big difference? Or is there one specific area in your life, one specific area that you know you need to tackle? And maybe you've been putting it off because you're not sure how, or you're a little bit scared, or you're not sure it'll work, or you've got some hesitation around it, but you know that's the area that you need to work on. Go and do it. Look at it. Stare in the mirror of honesty. Rate yourself from a 1 to 10. Are you a 9 or 10? Are you really pro your life, or are you a bit meh, or you're not feeling anything about it at all? Yeah, find a way. Let's take life experience up to a 9 or 10. Let's fix the balance in this world so less of us hate turning up to work, less of us stress and blame our relationships as a cause of our unhappiness, less of us turn to food, alcohol, drugs to escape this. Let's live in the moment because we enjoy experiencing the moment. So get dissatisfied, see that as a positive. I'll see you on the next episode.